Hey, 7th graders, take out your Unit 3 note packet, a pencil, a calculator, have them ready to go for your lesson today. Pause the video and go get those things if you don't already have them. We are on 3.2b. We're going to talk about adding and subtracting negative fractions now. Negative rational numbers. We reviewed adding and subtracting positive rational numbers. Now let's see how that works with negatives involved. The goal for today is I can add and subtract positive and negative rational numbers, bringing it all together. Get ready, Mrs. Johnson is going to provide you with the notes today.
All right, let's get ready for example number 1. Go ahead and write number 1 on your notes, and then I want you to copy down this problem, negative 2/3 plus 5. We're going to add these two numbers together. A couple things to keep in mind here as you are adding fractions. We want to first be sure that we have a numerator and denominator for both fractions. So if we need to, we might need to make a fraction improper. And in this case, the whole number 5, we would need to make that as a fraction. And we know that we can make any whole number a fraction by writing it over 1. So I'm going to recopy negative 2/3, and then I'm going to write 5 as a fraction, 5 over 1. Now, we're going to need a common denominator if we're going to add these two fractions together. Well, looking at 3 and 1, the least common multiple would be 3. So being that this is already thirds, I want to change the 5 into thirds. So I'm going to multiply the denominator and the numerator both by 3. So the first fraction, negative 2/3, will stay the same because it is already thirds. And now I can write 5 as 15/3. Our next step is just to add or subtract. In this case, we're adding, so we're just going to add the numerators. Remember, the denominators are thirds, so they're going to remain thirds. Now, the difference between this problem and what we did the other day is that now we're going to see some negatives. So we have negative 2 plus 15. You can use a calculator if you want to, or you can also use the number line. So negative 2 plus 15 would be positive 13. And remember, we can just leave our answer improper as long as it's simplified. You always want to check your answer to see if you can simplify. And in this case, 13/3 we can't. So that would be our answer. All right, next one. Go ahead and write down number 2 in your notes. And this is the problem I'd like you to copy. Negative 1/5 minus negative 2/3. Now, what do we know about subtracting a negative? Remember, this is take away a negative. So when we take away a negative, we literally just take away that negative and it becomes positive, doesn't it? Minus a negative, that's plus. So I could rewrite this problem, changing minus a negative right here into a big plus. Let's rewrite that. This is simplifying. And so this is going to be plus the 2/3. There, much easier. Whenever you see that, take away the negative. I want you to take away that negative, make it positive. All right. Looking at the problem we have here, we don't need to make anything improper. We actually have two proper fractions, and they have a numerator and a denominator, so we're good there. We're going to want to find a common denominator. So let's think about 5 and 3. What's the least common multiple of 5 and 3? You got it, 15. We can change a 5 and a 3 both into 15. So to change a 5 into 15, I'd have to multiply it by 3. I do the same thing to the numerator. Over here, to change the 3 into 15, I multiply it by 5, and I do the same thing to the numerator. So we're just going to take these two fractions and write them as equivalent fractions. Remember, this one's negative. It's going to stay negative. So 1/5 could be written as 3/15. Let's drop down the plus sign. 2/3 could be rewritten as 10 over 15. Now we have common denominators. And as soon as you get common denominators, you are ready then to add or subtract. And in this case, we are adding again. So we're adding negative 3/15 to 10/15. We're still going to get 15ths. The denominator stays the same. It's talking about the size pieces here. The numerator is negative 3 plus 10. So again, use your calculator or you can use your number line. Negative 3 plus 10 is positive 7. Now you want to look and see if you can simplify. And in this case, 7 and 15 don't have a common factor other than 1, so we've got it, 7/15. All right, everybody, number 3. This is going to be the last one where we are just adding or subtracting improper fractions. And then we're going to get to mixed numbers next. Okay, so as you're writing down 5/8, take away 9/5. Think, do we need to make the fractions improper? Nope. Nope, this one's already written as an improper fraction, and here we have a proper fraction. So as long as we have a numerator and a denominator, we're good to go. So we're going to go right down to the next step and find a common denominator. Think about 8 and 5. What's the least common multiple of 8 and 5? What could you change an 8 and a 5 both into? Are you thinking 40? I was thinking 40 also. Let's go with 40. Okay, so to get 8 to become a 40, I have to multiply by 5. And if you do that to the denominator, you need to do that to the numerator. Over here, to make a 5 into a 40, I have to multiply by 8, and same thing to the numerator. All right, we're going to write 5/8 as its equivalent fraction. 5 times 5 up here is 25, and 5 times 8 is 40. Okay, let's bring down the subtract. Now again, if you don't know your facts, 9 times 8, you can always grab a calculator and you can type in 9 times 8, looks like it's 72. It's okay to use the calculator, all right? And we have 40ths. So now we got 25 40ths minus 72 40ths. We can combine these two together. We can subtract them because we have the same size pieces. We have 40ths. So again, you can use a number line, which this is kind of big for a number line. Grab your calculator, 25 minus 72. Well, we know we're going to be in the negatives. Let's see what we're getting here. Negative 47. All right, negative 47. So now I want to look and see 47 and 40. Is there a common factor that we can divide by? If you're not sure, you can always use your calculator and you can try a few numbers. Think about what could you divide a 40 by? Is there anything you can divide a 47 by that's common? And in this case, no. We're going to leave it improper. So negative 47 40ths. There we go. All right, in your notes, number 4. Label number 4, and I want you to take the time here if you need to pause the video to go ahead and write down this problem. Negative 3 3/5 plus 4 2/5. As you're writing it down, we are going to be needing to use all of our steps on this one. Because we have mixed numbers, we're going to have to change them to improper fractions, find a common denominator so we can add or subtract, and then check to see if we can simplify. Everything's going to need to happen on this one. Okay. Let's get started. I think you should have it written down. If not, pause and you can come back to me. All right, let's change these both into improper fractions. So remember, that's doing the Texas. The abbreviation for Texas is TX. But once you write the T and the X, it looks like an add and a multiply sign. Now we see that we have a negative fraction, so I'm just going to drop that straight down. Cover it up while you're doing the Texas. Multiply comes first with order of operations. The two numbers that we multiplied together are connected with the times sign. 3 times 5 is 15, then add the 3, 16, 17, 18. I have 18. Now the denominator stays the same. This is 3 3/5. Fifths is the denominator. Well, then fifths will be the denominator here. The pieces, the size pieces don't change. Let's drop down the plus. We're going to do the same thing over here. Write down TX for Texas, doing the Texas. All right, Texas two-step here. The two numbers that are connected with multiply, we multiply first. 4 times 5 is 20, and then add the 2, 22. What size pieces? Fifths. So bring down the 5. Well, would you look at that? Oh my goodness, we have common denominators. We don't even need to find a common denominator. We have them. So we can just go ahead and add. So we've got negative 18 fifths plus 22 fifths. We are going to get some fifths. Again, if you want to use a number line or you can use your calculator, we type in negative 18 plus 22, looks like we're going to get positive 4. Now, check to see if you can simplify. 4 fifths? Nope, we are good to go. We will be doing 6 examples together today. This is number 5. We're going to see that we're adding. Go ahead and pause the video if you need some time to write it down. All right. So we're going to need to make improper fractions on here. First step, improper. Okay, so put down TX for Texas. If this is eighths, it's going to stay eighths. Let's find the numerator. How many eighths? 8 times 1 is 8. Plus 1, we have 9 eighths. Bring down the plus. We're going to need some parentheses here. This is a negative fraction. We're going to drop it straight down. Cover up the negative. Let's do the Texas. 2 times 2 is 4. Plus 1 is 5. 5, what size pieces? They're halves. So bring down the halves. All right. Well, we're not ready to add these two together yet because they don't have a common denominator. They need to be the same size pieces. So we've got eighths and halves. What's the least common multiple? 8. Yep, this is already eighths, so we're going to leave it. I'm going to just drop down the 9 eighths. drop down the plus. I'm just dropping everything down here. I want to change halves to eighths. To do that, I'd multiply by 4. If you multiply the denominator by 4, you need to do the same thing to the numerator. So it's a negative fraction. I just dropped down the negative. Now we have 5 times 4, which is 20 and eighths. Okay, now we're ready to go. We have 9 eighths plus negative 20 eighths. The denominator stays the same, eighths. Let's add the numerators. 9 plus negative 20. If you need a calculator for that, you can use a calculator. So if I have 9 plus, don't forget that down here you want to use your negative 20. Negative 11. Remember, we can leave our answer improper. That's okay, but we want to check, can you simplify it? 11 and 8, can you divide them by a common factor? Nope, we're good to go. And there we've got it. Ready for the last one? All right, here's number 6. Let's label 6 in our notes. We've got another set of mixed numbers. Oh, what do you notice as you're writing this down? Take away the negative. If we take away the negative, that's going to change it to a plus. So right here, I maybe want to rewrite this. This subtract a negative, I'm going to drop that straight down. That's a plus. Take away the negative, make it a plus. Let's copy the problem down one more time here. And then this is going to be a positive 3 3/4. There we go. All right, I want to simplify that before I even start. It's going to make the problem a lot easier. All right, we're going to have to make improper fractions. So let's do the Texas on both of these. Oh, what color do I want to use? Red. Okay, so TX, abbreviation for the state of Texas. Looks like add and multiply. Okay, so we see we have a negative. We're going to just drop that negative straight down, but I'm going to cover it up while I do the Texas. 20 times 5 is 100. Plus 1 is 101. And the same size piece is 20ths. All right, let's drop down the plus. Okay, here we're going to write TX, Texas, multiply first. 3 times 4, 12, 13, 14, 15. We add the 3. 15, the same size pieces, they are fourths. I drop that straight down. All right, now that we've got improper fractions, we can find a common denominator, 20 and 4. What's the least common multiple of 20 and 4? Yep, you've got it. We're going to change them both to 20ths. That already is 20ths. I need to make 4 into a 20. Multiply by 5, same thing to the top. All right, let's rewrite this. I got negative 101 20ths plus 15 times 5. If you don't know what 15 times 5 is, we can use a calculator. 15 times 5 is 75. 4 times 5 is 20ths. We've got common denominators, everybody. Woohoo! All right, let's go ahead and add 20ths. We're going to keep 20ths, but we're just going to look at the numerators here. This is what we're adding. So you might need a calculator for this, and that's okay. Remember the negative sign. We want to put negative, and that's 101. And then we want to add 75. My calculator says negative 26. All right, now last step would be simplify if you can. You always have to look for that. In this case, we can simplify. Yep, absolutely. Well, 26 and 20, they are both they're both even numbers. So we know we can divide them by 2. Maybe that's a place to start. Negative 26 divided by 2 would be negative 13, half of 26. And 20 divided by 2 is 10. Now take a look and see what you have. 13 and 10, it looks like we can't simplify anymore. There we have our answer. We can leave it improper. That's perfectly fine. All right, there are 6 examples.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. Now it's time to practice. So you need to find your 3.2b assignment in the Unit 3 folder on Schoology. As always, let us know if you have any questions. Bye!